Quack.
Quack.
Quack, 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 quack. Quack, quack, quack. Quack,
Well
quack,
then,
quack.
whoa! I am your host, Adam Chimeo.
And I'm, oh my God, Adam Chimeo.
What's that?
Why, what happened? Did you get put in the Shrinkinator?
You noticed, and you nailed it in one. I did. So I was at the football game, as you know.
Oh boy.
Some wonderful listeners gave me some free tickets, T and ass as we so lovingly call them. And I saw the duck go in the Shrinkinator. I saw the little duck come out.
We saw him on TV.
Exactly. I thought, oh, that's bullshit. That's just a cardboard box. I'm going to get to the bottom. You know I like to get to the bottom.
Bro, this is what happens when fuck around and find out, bro.
I'm intrigued by science, so I got in there after the game. And Aaron, I can tell you from experience, it 100% works. And I don't know how to snap out of it.
Okay.
I didn't think you'd notice. I wasn't sure, you know.
I mean, it was immediately I knew something was off, but it wasn't until we came out of that weird, like, nowhere space that we lived during the intro. And we came into reality in our two separate spaces that I kind of assumed what had happened.
I'm about 3 apples tall, stacked on top of each other.
Okay, so good news for you.
Yeah.
I can handle this situation.
You can handle this? You are a great sound engineer. So
what I
wondering.
need, that's right. Look, whenever I need someone to sound, you know, bigger than they are, it's all a mindset thing. It's mind games. You're psyching yourself out at this point, and what I need you to do is just to think big thoughts.
Think big thoughts.
Yeah, I'm talking like, think about skyscrapers.
All right.
Think about certain sized tables.
Things
Think
that
about
make me
oversized chairs.
big. Okay. Well.
Think about the biggest apple you've ever seen.
Okay. Like the Big Apple.
The Big Apple. A great example.
Okay.
All
listeners,
right.
You can see this on YouTube if this works. I don't know. I may just be small for the rest of my small
I
life.
hope not, because honestly, your voice was annoying before, but this is unbearable.
This is bad. This may lose us some listeners, possibly.
Oh, God.
Okay,
big thoughts, big boy.
Big thoughts. Let me try.
Big thoughts for a big boy.
Okay. Marcus
You got it.
Mariota beating Florida State.
Yeah.
Washington taking that, Tony Washington taking that fumble from Jameis Winston, returning it for the score.
Yeah.
D'Anthony Thomas returning that kick against Kansas State. 12-0.
The Huskies not winning a game.
You're doing it. You did it.
I'm big. Okay, I'm back.
Oh, my God.
I'm back on Quack. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for your wise words. Rest in
I do
power,
have
bro.
to ask.
What's that?
What's it like inside the Shrinkinator?
What's it like inside the Shrinkinator?
I mean, because you're not wrong. On TV, it looked like hot garbage that they had maybe thought about at the very last moment.
I was literally across the field, like on the complete opposite side, and I could still see the big duck in the back hiding behind a curtain from literally plus 100 yards away. But no,
So wait.
it's real. It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's basically, when in Quantum Leap, when he's kind of going to different places. It's kind of like that.
I mean, that's the whole premise of the show.
Yes, exactly. It's basically that. Yeah.
You mean like the tunnel, the light tunnel.
The tunnel
that he
light
is
thing,
zipping through.
Yeah.
Got you.
It's basically
So it's pretty fast. It's pretty fast. It's just a big white blinding light.
revved up like a deuce. Yeah. It's
Interesting.
nuts, man. Aaron, back to football.
Oh, boy.
Like I said, I got some wonderful free tickets from some dear friends of the podcast. That it was wonderful to see them.
Do you want to give them a shout out? Do they have a handle?
T and ass. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
and
okay.
T and ass is what it really is, but they like to be anonymous. They're anonymous donors. And
Yeah.
I got recognized at work purely through my voice from a Quack 12 fan.
Dude.
So I want to shout them out. That was very cool. It made me feel like
For
a big
real.
star. I'm not going to tell you where I'm work, you freaking sickos, because I don't want you visiting me.
Well, it's just a hardware store.
Yeah, it's a hardware
Look,
store.
if you're in Eugene, just
Corvallis.
think of the one hardware store that actually is still around. That's where he is. He owns it.
If you're in Eugene, you're thinking about me, think of hard.
In his other life, he's known as Adam the Hammer Chimeo.
It's true. It's true. It's true. And by other life, we mean my OnlyFans account. Aaron,
Hammer.
you ready for some rumors?
Yo, God, yes. All day. Give me.
Okay, here we go. So, head coach Jimbo Fisher over at Texas A&M. Texas A&M.
Oh, I
So
heard about this.
Yeah, what do you know about Texas A&M? You're from Texas.
Look, their catchphrase is "Gig 'em Aggies."
True.
They had a very dangerous and no longer allowed tradition of like uprooting goalposts.
I love it.
At some point back in the
I
day, and I
love it.
feel like someone died from the goalpost falling on them.
Possibly, I don't know. I can't remember.
Let's see. What else do I know about them? They are pro-military, and they are also a great school if you want to go into aerodynamics, especially the ones that go into outer space. And a buddy of mine went there through that program, the aerospace, outer space program or whatever.
Okay.
Ended up getting a job with NASA designing some bullshits for the satellites that we have up in our atmosphere.
Well, there you go. We'll get him on the show.
Finally, and most importantly, they are also my enemy because I go Longhorn.
You're a Longhorn fan. Or is that you're not rooting for the Longhorns to get in the playoffs over the Ducks, are you? Because we may have a problem there.
No. In fact,
Good.
I would love it if both went. Is that
That would
something
be
that
pretty
could
fun.
happen?
It's possible. It's kind of more them competing against each other, but it is possible. It would basically take like Alabama dropping another one. It would take only Michigan and or Georgia, or Michigan or Georgia, not both getting in, and then it would take us and Texas winning out. So it's like not the least plausible.
We got our side of that covered. That's for sure. But anyway, what about them Aggies?
Okay, so they had the biggest buyout for a coach. Buyout is like, you want to fire this guy early. You have to pay this amount of money.
It's like $76 million or something.
Nope, more 80. I think before the record was something like, don't quote me on this, but something like 20 with Gus Malzahn or something.
Yeah.
Now this motherfucker got paid $80 million to not coach.
This was the thing that I thought was kind of beautiful about it, was that the money in which they used came from like alumni donors, I believe. There was some kind of and so they presented them with a check on the field during halftime that as soon as that game was over, they then used said money to fire dude.
That's fun.
So they basically flexed the money that
You know
they
what'd
were
be even
gonna
better?
spend.
Yeah. What would be way better if can you imagine this? Halftime of the Texas A&M game, they invite Jimbo. They're like, Jimbo, come out at the half field. Come on, man. Like, they're up in this game, too. Like, they won this game. They're like, Jimbo, come out here. And then they just have a big check, and it's written out, $80 million to Jimbo Fisher.
Brother.
And they're like, Jimbo, this is for you. And
that
they
would
just
be-
congratulate his firing.
Yeah.
That'd be so, and the crowd would just be like, "Woo, yeah!" Like that'd be so funny. They should have done it that way. But
You wanna-
This is why it's relevant to us.
Okay. Oh,
Of
wait, but real
course.
quick.
Yes,
I do have a very small theory about it.
Okay.
I think he knew.
Oh yeah.
I think he knew.
I mean,
I think he was like, sure, I'll take $80 million. Who gives a shit?
at a certain
It's
point,
just
you gotta
football.
Be. I mean, he knew that he needed to change things, and he chose instead not to change things. And I got him fired. And he could get a job somewhere else if he wanted to. Or
I think he wanted to be fired. I think he's done. He conned him. He was like,
Yeah,
you know
that's
what?
a good
I'm kind of
point.
over this. I don't want to work, actually. So I'm
That's
just
a
not
good
gonna.
He could work if he wanted. We'll see what happens. But, of
Okay.
course, the reason why it's relevant is because the rumor mill starts going. So now big oil money is starting to look at who's our next coach. Who's the person we're going to swipe away? Well, we could go towards that young, promising coach over at Oregon, who apparently you can just, pick their coaches off the tree, and at any point they'll just abandon and destroy their fan base. So that's the rumors. Now, the rumors a lot of the time is literally just...
Lanning?
Yeah, Lanning. I mean, look what he's done here. First season, he got us to 10 wins immediately. This year, he may get us to the playoffs. That's pretty good.
I think he's committed to us for 5 years. There's no way. I mean, okay,
We've said this before.
Here, look, this is why it would break my heart if it was true, is because he said out loud, I want my kid to have a childhood somewhere.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to keep moving him. He was moving every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are now. I don't see him doing it.
I agree.
If he did it, it would break my heart because it's the kid, man.
A lot of this, you did bring this up when you said it, I remember that. A lot of this is truly can be just like the way they announce our interest in a coach is literally just being like, oh, there's some rumor that, and they leak that out into the press and then that comes
Well, it's
there.
because the truth, not a rumor, is that we have the best fucking coach in the league.
There you go.
We have
And-
the best coach.
There's a lot of agent play here, where
Agent play.
sometimes the coach's agent will be like, yeah, let's get this rumor out there. Like, sometimes they won't even be offered a job, but they'll leak it out that it's like,
Oh, and then you're like, you need to pay me
supposedly
more.
this. Yeah, you need to pay me. So there's a lot of politics like that.
Yeah.
But as you remember, there comes a point when these rumors start happening, and then the press inevitably go to the coach and they ask, hey, are you staying or are you going? Or have you heard about this rumor?
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario is you get someone like Willie Taggart who would literally, it was just obvious as hell. Like his refusal to even answer the question a little bit and to not say yes or no, and then to like get angry, to get defensive out of nowhere. Like he would be a lot of like,
That's
why do you keep
abusive
asking me that?
husband type shit.
Yeah, oh yeah, gaslighting. Just being like, why are you asking me that? Why do you ask me that every week? I told you an answer. The answer that I said was the answer that I said. Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
The other one is just like kind of Cristoval's kind of being like, we're not going to worry about that. I'm not going to worry about that. We're worried about football. Like just reverting it only to football, not addressing it. Stuff like that. This is what Lanning said, and it got a lot of people.
He's already been asked.
He was asked immediately because I mean you're going to be asked, and so
Fuck. I thought we had time.
Once you're asked, it's the responses that are a bit telling sometimes.
Oh boy.
Here's what he said. I
What
guess
if
the
you-
reality here is one. My name in our program would never been a topic of conversation for another school if we didn't have something here that everybody else wanted. And the
You're right,
reason why we
motherfucker.
have something here that everybody else wants is because of what our players, our coaches,
That's right.
the support that exists
Yep.
here in Oregon have created.
Yep.
I think I've been really, really clear here since
Yep.
day one. Everything I want exists right here. I'm not going anywhere. There's zero chance that I would be coaching somewhere else. I've got unfinished business here. There's a lot that I want to accomplish here at Oregon. My number one priority is being elite here in Oregon, and we have the resources, the tools. Anybody that can understand why you would want to be here, this place doesn't understand exactly what exists here, right? Like what I've said before, with a 13-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old, to be able to raise our family and a community like this, to be able to compete for championships and have the ability to get the resources you need. A lot of coaches hang on to these moments and they don't do anything or don't. Oh yeah, this was the best. This was like,
Brother. He's talking, I'll give you 10 years.
This is really good. This is him literally talking about, and I'm not even selling how like assured he was when he was saying.
Oh my God, this fucking guy.
So this next line is him knowing what I was talking about of like fans expect, like when they're asked the question, you can immediately tell when a coach is gone. Like,
yeah.
When they like dodge the question, when they don't answer, or when they're like fighting for more money.
He's got tough dad voice on.
This is what he said. And he's talking, when he says the moment, he's talking about the moment when a coach is asked this question, and then they're like thinking of like, what exactly do I say? Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of coaches hang on to these moments and they don't do anything or don't say anything. One, because they don't want egg on their face when they decide to do something else. Two, because they're concerned about things I'm not concerned about, like getting a better contract. I'm taken care of extremely well here in Oregon. I have the resources I need here at Oregon to be really, really successful. I'm not motivated by that. I'm motivated by winning. I'm motivated by being elite.
This motherfucker. Oh
So,
my God,
said
dude.
absolutely everything you want to hear. That being said, he could be gone in a week.
No. Fuck
like,
you.
that
Fuck
is
you.
the-
He's not going anywhere.
That is the most assured I've ever heard a coach answer that.
No, look.
So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, he's building a storyline that is so like heroic. This man is on a bullet train to greatness, I feel like.
There you go.
In 3 years, we're going to be laughing at how easy it is for us to do whatever we want as a team. You know what I mean? We're going to be like, Bama? What? Who gives a shit?
Who? Georgia,
What?
huh?
Huh?
Whew. I hope you're right.
Meanwhile,
Eric.
Huskies are going to be like, Amazon Daddy left us and we don't have any money no more. We
Yeah.
can do nothing.
That's not us with Phil Knight when he dies, that's for sure.
Yeah.
This guy right here got the little... There he
Bravo.
is.
I mean, it looks more like Larry David, but, you know,
Yeah.
what do I know?
What is the deal with us not beating Washington? Aaron, we got some basketball to talk about. And for many, I mean, that means a lot of things to a lot of people, but to me, it means I get to play this intro. Quacksball. 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 Now, we're still very early in the season, and this is the second game for both teams, so there's not too much to talk about, really. But we can skim through a lot of this. So I'll tell you, start with the men's team.
Okay.
Men's team still beaten up quite a bit. As you know, we had like Mookie and Shellstad. They're the two promising young freshmen, elite talent that are sidelined for, I believe it was Mookie till at least like beginning of December. And then Shellstad, we're not quite sure when, but probably sooner than that, most likely.
Yep.
And they'll be welcome additions to the team, but right now we're rolling with who we got. Not only that, but against Montana, who was our second opponent of the season, we were actually out Zarzuela, who was a starter, and then Enfali Dante. He is sitting out. It doesn't sound like it's a serious thing. It sounded like from the get, because as you remember, in week 1, Dana Altman was already like, we're not sure if Dante's really going to play in this game. He did play. He played pretty big minutes. He was really solid, honestly. Supposedly, for game 2, they were like, we're a little concerned. We're going to rest him. His knees kind of is not feeling 100%.
Fuck.
But no boot or anything. He says that he should be ready for the next game. Supposedly it's just to kind of get him back to 100%, like he's feeling. So that's good to hear. It's not like a long-term thing. You always got to be cautious with and Folly Dante in his injuries. Like, he's a great player, but he's had some rough luck in both legs, honestly. So we had 2 starters out against Montana, which maybe explains the slow start, Aaron, because at half we were tied 37-37, which is not where you want to be against a Big Sky opponent.
Right.
We were 1 of 10, I believe, from our first 10 3-point shots. So they were not going down for us whatsoever. Meanwhile, Montana went on a little run right at the end of the half, and so suddenly it was tied. But in the second half, we responded well, mainly due to a couple of the new starters, Kwame Evans Jr., the big man, the young man, and then Brennan Rigsby, who's really been coming along. You always need that scrappy white guy on the team, right? You need like one. He has been. You don't always, but
I mean, I'm not going to touch
great.
that. I'm not going to touch that subject.
He has been a very I'm very excited about Brennan Rigsby. I kind of am like, let's keep him a starter. Let's keep this good energy going because he has been fun to watch. He went 4 of 9 from the floor, 3 of 4 from 3-point range, which is what we desperately needed to pull ourselves out of this one. And we did. And then not only that, but Nate Biddle from Central Point, Oregon. Yes, that's right. The other big man. We got the 2 towers, basically. We got Folly Dante. We got Nate Biddle. Also got Evans, but still. So Nate Biddle went out there, had a solid game, 7 of 14. 2 of 4 from 3, which is pretty good for a big man. That's awesome. And 17 points total. He led the team. We had like 5 double-digit scorers, which is good to see. And in the end, I mean, the stuff we really need to clean up. I think our 3-point shooting is not bad, 30%, 7 of 23. That's not like totally our game, but we need it to be there. And so 30% ain't bad. 41% from the floor. That would be nice to clean up. If Dante was out there, that probably would be. The real big one that you got to circle, which you yourself went out there and proved how hard it can be. Free throws, man. Fucking free throws. 16 of 28, which ends up being 57%. Like, man, we're leaving.
It's not the worst.
That's bad. It's a free shot, man. No one's guarding you. It's right there. 50. We need to be.
I guess that's the thing you should
at least
have
70.
on lockdown.
I mean, kinda, yeah. It's the thing that's like, it's not going to get easier than the free throw. You know?
Well,
what I mean?
maybe
like, even
maybe we're just in that part of the coaching phase where you're just not really focused on getting them to shoot. You know what I mean? You're just like.
Well,
maybe they're in the footwork part of the training program. You know, they're doing the footwork part right now, so they're missing shots because they're not really focusing on shooting.
You know, coaching wise, that's got to be one of the more frustrating things because you can say, okay, here's the correct form to shoot a free throw. Practice that. And then they either practice that, and maybe they are practicing it really hard. And what if they keep not happening? What if they keep not going down? What else do you do? Do you practice more?
I watched a video of this kid like in a little gym where there was like a whole shield that he had to shoot over.
Oh, nice.
And then like so it was like a ranged. Yeah, it was like reinforcing your arc, and I'm like, why not just do that with these kids? Everybody gets their own. Stand in a line. Everybody gets their own goal, and you just.
I don't know. Well, the other thing is, you go. You know, in the NBA, you have some people that can't hit the free throw, and it's like that's the highest level of basketball. They get paid so much money. They desperately want to win, and even those players who are inarguably great basketball players can't hit the free throw.
But hasn't it been said, and I feel like we're veering a little too far away, but it has been said, right, that the NBA is not what it once was. It is very showmanshipy and
you're like the fundamentals. They're not doing
like the game itself is kind of derailed into
Well,
just celebrity.
People
on
are
a
better
court.
shooters now than they were in the past in the NBA. Like that's the thing.
Larry Bird, Michael Jordan,
Well, I'm not
Scottie
saying
Pippen?
specific.
Charles Barkley.
Yeah, our superstars are more accurate than those players. Literally. LeBron
Fuck
is a
outta
more
here.
accurate basketball player than fucking Michael Jordan.
Dr. J,
Yeah.
Magic Johnson.
Yes. I don't know.
These
what
are the
you're
greatest of all time.
saying. I'm saying average. The average players
Oh.
are better shooters than the average players back then.
That's so intriguing. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah. So, like, I don't know how to change
we suck
it.
at three. I mean, we suck
we
at free
suck at it.
throws.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to. And it may bite us in the butt. But we're winning even with, like, so many injuries. So many key injuries. You know?
I mean,
so that makes
look,
you feel good.
it does seem.
By the
like
way, we
a-
won 75-61 against Montana. So we really
Okay,
pulled
good.
it out. Yeah.
I will say it does seem like a fairly regular type of gameplay that when the winding minutes are falling off the final minutes, or like winding down,
Yeah.
that if you can't afford it, you kind of just start
You got to
fouling your
Yeah.
opponent because you know that they won't be able to make those points, and you're up
Exactly.
by 4, so it's better to have them where that.
It
I mean,
makes a
that,
lot
yeah.
of games a lot closer if you can. The hack-a-shack strategy.
I don't know that I'm concerned about it yet.
I'm
right?
Not, I mean, no, not right now.
Okay.
Right now, we're playing with house money. Like, we are injured. We're playing against worse teams. Even if we lose, it's like, it's early basketball. One loss does not mean, that much. And
Though, it doesn't feel awesome,
about
though, to
chemistry.
have... Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
I hate starting off as a loser, so I'm glad we won.
We haven't, yeah. 2-0. Up now. I mean, and we got... Next game is still in Eugene against Tennessee State. That's a
Okay.
team again that we should win by double digits. Same with against Florida A&M, even though it's in Tallahassee, and Florida A&M has really taken it. I forget whether they beat us or not, but I remember having a very close game against them.
Funny.
Though, again, we should beat them by double digits, but that's a good road test. And then we got the Emerald Coast Classic that we'll be playing in, and there's some possibility for better competition. So there you have it. Men's basketball, good start so far, besides all the injuries and the free throws. But improving.
Hey,
Improving.
you know how football players like linemen and such will always have those knee braces on and
Yeah.
that kind of extra gear. Is there an equivalent to that in basketball to help these kids not just get completely wrecked
Yeah,
all
I'm
the
sure
time?
I'm sure there is, but it seems like I don't see knee braces that often in basketball. And maybe it's because, like, while they're on the court, maybe it's because you're just
Metal on
actually moving
wood.
too much, or they're like, we don't want to hurt the court.
I mean, nobody is wearing massive amounts of padding. Plus, I'm assuming it's restrictive in movement.
I think it's the restrictive thing.
But you think they would have some kind of thin, like,
think they do.
robot type material that could just form around your knee?
I think I've seen, like, basically what you would see, like a band or something like that over it. Like, but no metal whatsoever in there. Just to kind of, I think it's for circulation kind of thing.
Yeah, it just needs to
like
be
that.
like spandex and the same type of material that the stormtroopers suit is.
Hey, I'm
just
down
like a
with
nice plastic.
Honestly, we should just be wearing football pads out there. Wouldn't hurt.
Dude, yeah. And instead of it being a hoop,
Yeah.
you have to
Field
kick
goal.
the football. Yeah, field goal.
Yeah. Honestly, it should be longer too.
It should be a bigger
we should
field.
be playing this thing on 100-yard field.
Exactly. We're gonna need at least 100 yards.
And I don't know about the shape of this ball either. Honestly,
No.
makes too much
Oblong.
sense.
It needs to be oblong. It's
Oblong.
better.
Yeah.
Like, let's see if we can try and flatten this one, and then that's the shape we want.
Yeah. And 5 people on the court. Come on, double that and add 1 person.
Well, if we're going bigger field, we might as well fill up the field with
We
more
got to
people.
fill up the field. Yeah. I agree.
What do you want to call this game?
Well, you use your foot in it about 2% of the time.
Yeah,
So maybe something based around that.
but yeah, it is all about kicking the ball.
It's all about kicking the ball. as Camden Lewis has taught us. I wish he would have hit that field goal. It would
Yeah.
have.
Oh,
made
God.
things
Well,
a
I could
lot
say
more
the exact
comfortable.
same thing. I'd feel a lot more comfortable about this team if I could say the same. I could say the same thing.
All I care. This is where I'm at with
Yeah.
with field goal, with college field goal kickers. Like anything in my head, if it's 30 yards, that needs to be guaranteed.
Sure.
Anything past 30 yards, I'm like, it's all right if you don't get it, but if anything over 30 yards, I'm like,
Well,
wow, you're a good
the-
kicker.
The extra point is 25 yards.
Oh wait, no, I kind of forget. I definitely should. I don't think it is that because it's only 10 yards from the end zone. And I kind of forget where you start.
The
with
end
the
zone
extra
is
point.
what, another 10
I think you do
maybe?
like 5 yards or something like that. Like, where do you start? Kick the point after. This is definitely something I should know, but
Yeah. We'll ask Kithla. I assume he's coming today.
yes, he is. We got some women's basketball. I got to.
Okay, yeah, great. Thank you. Because I was about to derail us completely talking about extra points. I think 30 is too low. I think 35 should be the minimum. And I think any reputable kicker should be able to feel confident at 42. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Well, then maybe our kicking game has never been on point at Oregon.
Oh,
But,
no.
yeah,
Is
it's
42
college,
really
dude.
high?
I mean, it isn't really high.
Right.
but
It feels
for
like it's your
college-
gig, dude. 54. Now we're starting to push the ceiling of like, you a good kicker, bro? 54? You want to try that?
He has, I don't know. I just want consistency from like the gimmies. Apparently, you start at the 15-yard line. Look at you. You're completely correct. I don't know why I'm so off. I see that
So you
all the
see
time,
what I mean?
and yet I had no idea. Aaron, as for women's basketball,
Yes, sir.
we went against the University of Arkansas. I watched this game, and I still can't remember. Oh, Pine Bluff. That's right. I have no idea what that means, but yeah.
Pine
so
Bluff's
we went against-
town.
There you go. Well, we
So it's the
played them
University of Arkansas in Pine Bluff. It's probably like a medical branch.
in Pine Bluff.
Yeah, I bet.
They're not very good, and we beat
fine.
them. That being said, this was like the most notable thing I would say. University of Arkansas Pine Bluff took it to Oregon State. Like that was a game. At halftime, I think they even led. Like they scored quite a few points, like in the 40s or something against Oregon State, who's maybe not a great team this year. But that being said, that was their game before. But when they played against Oregon, Oregon is attempting to be a defense-first team this year.
Right?
Yes. We held them, or we outscored them 43-19 at the half. And in the first quarter, we outscored them 17-4. Held them to just 4 points.
Well, you know what they say the best defense is?
Offense, I guess.
A good offense. That's right.
All right. Well, let's look into that offense then. Kennedy Williams, as we all know, we had that very unfortunate injury to who was supposed to be our starter. So now Kennedy Williams is popping in there.
Okay.
And she did very well. I don't know why I'm suddenly off the page. Basically, I think, what really helped us out is because we don't need to be a three-point shooting team like we used to be with the Ionescu era, right? We don't have to be that. We're actively trying not to be that team. It would be
Right.
nice if we could, but we don't have the horses for it. However, we still need to be able to hit the three. We need to keep defenses honest, you know.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into it. We know where I feel. Abandon the three. Focus on the layup.
Yeah, you want to play truly old school.
Yeah, let's get old school, baby.
Well, we didn't abandon the three, but we certainly aren't hitting it like we used to. However, Chance Gray, absolutely fantastic. She hits. God damn, why is this taking so fucking long to load? Sorry, listeners.
It's okay. We'll wait. It's fine.
So, Chance Gray hit
Yes, sir.
6 3-pointers, 6 of 11, which is pretty damn good when you're shooting.
That's
that
great.
And especially in like the first half, I do believe I think she hit all of them. So she really helped us separate early on. Even Sophia Bell, who's a young player for us, a young wing, she hit 3 3-pointers, her first college 3-pointers there. And Kennedy Williams had a really good start. Well, she put in some good minutes. Offensively, she didn't do that well, but defensively, I think she held her own. Grace Van Sluten got 19 points. Chance Gray finished with 20. Filipina Che got 11 rebounds, as did Grace Van Sluten. And that's really going to be a big part of if the Ducks can win or not, is if those two can dominate the boards, because that is some height that a lot of people aren't going to be able to really compete against. And I think that's what happened here. We shot 50% from the floor. That's good. 47% from 3. That's also really good, honestly.
Hey,
and 69% from the free throw line.
Oh, the men's were 54% from free throw line.
Yeah.
So
I still want those. It would be nice if it was like 80%. But maybe I'm asking
Look,
for too much.
It's like I've been saying the whole time. They really need to focus in on the 3 because as you can see, when they focus on the 3, they start making real points on the board. So
that's right.
I applaud them attacking the 3-pointer. I think they should be doing more of it.
You've always said that.
I've never thought differently. They're killing it out there.
We held them to 31% from the floor, which maybe those are the numbers you should be focusing more on with this team. Is like, what are we holding them to?
Right.
What are we messing up for them? Are we taking away their best asset of the game? If they're a really good 3-point shooting team, are we shutting that down? If they're really good at taking it to the paint, is Filipina Che having a good game? Are we getting a bunch of blocks or something like that? So I don't know. I've enjoyed watching this team.
Who's in charge of that? Is there like a defensive coach or coordinator? Like
there's assistant coach. They kind of treat it all in the since it's such a free flowing game back and forth. They don't necessarily. They probably have some assistant who's like, we want you to focus, especially with these players, on this part of their defensive game or something like that. Like, there's probably that, but there's not like a defensive coordinator.
The fluidity of the game doesn't allow for such strict, granular titles.
Yeah, man. Don't put your labels on me, bro.
Yeah. I'm going to make a movie about a orchestra conductor that ends up going to see the New York Knicks and falls in love with the game and becomes a head coach. And he conducts them much like, he was like this because it's all fluid. He sees the fluidity of it. And he can, it's going to be great. It'll have Tony Danza.
Oh, okay. Striking while the iron's hot with Tony Danza. That's smart.
Why? What's going on with him?
I was joking. Nothing.
Absolutely
nothing.
I think I said Tony Danza, but I meant Ted Danson.
Ted Danson's more like, his career is still going strong.
Because I want it to be a Ted Danson, Whoopi Goldberg reunion basketball movie.
Get them back together. Maybe he could wear his famous blackface that he wore at that roast to honor her.
Ooh, I don't remember that. Maybe we don't need to broach it. Let's let sleeping dogs lie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shit, bro.
So up next for women's basketball is Grand Canyon, which shouldn't be a problem, in Phoenix, Arizona, and then Santa Clara in Eugene, Oregon. Let's see what happens. Let's keep, so far, Arkansas Pine Bluff has scored the most amount of points on us. That is 60. Let's attempt to make sure nobody gets 69 points on us. Let's see if that is possible. As the great James Foss said, versus 69 usually wins. So let's make sure no one gets to that mark. Let's see how
Philosopher Voss.
Philosopher.
It has come true almost every single time. For real.
That's true. It's true.
But anyway.
Anyways,
Well-
Aaron, I believe we have a commercial we got to hit.
Okay.
And then we need our dear friend Hithladay to jump on the podcast. But if you've come this far, why don't you follow us on YouTube, Quack 12 Podcast YouTube. Not only that, we got a Patreon if you'd like to help support this fine show. For $5 measly a month, you get hundreds of hours of duck-themed entertainment. And if you're a cheapskate, why don't you go to Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars, leave a comment, helps other people find the show. Aaron?
And we're on social media, Twitter and TikTok. So go look up at Quack 12 Podcast.
It's
Thank
true.
you.
Aaron, roll that beautiful bean footage. Well, Aaron, hate to say it, but the time machine is broken.
I mean, this whole thing was running off the power of your cell phone. And obviously, when we hit 1894, there's no longer cell service or Wi-Fi connection. So,
Not gonna lie, I did not think this through.
God almighty, Adam, what are we supposed to do now?
I mean, we're in Eugene, Oregon in 1894. We could check out the very first duck game. Maybe it's a good thing.
No, it's not good. Look, we've already been here for about 5 days, and the very first thing I learned living in Eugene, Oregon, is that shows have been banned that are quote-unquote unchaste and demoralizing. And that's kind of the only kind of content we know how to make, dude.
We could review every duck season as it happens.
Even the children here are freaky.
Then post it on the Quack 12 Patreon in the future.
I mean, it's just really hard to not spoil, tragic national events.
Imagine it, a weekly show dedicated to Oregon football history with 2 charismatic time-traveling stoner hosts.
We live in the most expensive house in Eugene, and it's a fucking shack.
And the most beautiful thing about it, we can charge them a measly $5 in the future. And when we get it in the past, we'll be freaking millionaires comparatively. And I'm talking robber baron status, baby.
Adam, I make bugs fight in a shoebox just to simulate television.
All listeners would have to do is go to patreon.com/quack12 and sign up for hundreds of hours of duck entertainment.
But the hooch is good. In fact, it's kind of got me wanting to try my own hand at it.
That's right. For a measly $5 a month, that's patreon.com/quack12. Now let's go watch them lemon yellows give those hay seeds what for.
And keep your eye out for Dr. Schroeder's blueberry wine.
And we are
Quack, quack.
back on Quack.
Quack, quack.
Oh, Aaron, we were so excited about basketball, we forgot to talk about football.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my
Look,
God,
there's a
indeed.
lot happening now. The episodes are getting longer. I'm learning to lean back into it and just enjoy the ride more.
Mm-hmm.
So if we gotta take our time to cover the whole thing, that's fine. We'll eventually get to football. It is the core of the show, after all.
I would say that too, and you can't neglect the core. That's what I say to myself
That's-
every time I'm
Brother.
at the gym.
As a 41-year-old man who has done nothing but neglect the core, I have to tell you, it's tough getting her back.
Yeah, it's true, man. When I look at you, I haven't seen a weaker core than when I saw the core in movie theaters.
Wow.
You remember that movie?
I do remember that
When they
movie.
go to their score?
Yeah.
Very good. Wasn't a very good movie.
Was that a Brendan Fraser movie?
No, you're thinking of Journey to the Middle of the... Oh, shit. What was
Center
that
of the
one?
Earth,
Was it
maybe?
Land of the Lost or something like that?
No, the core.
The core
Maybe
was
it-
with
I-
Aaron Eckhart, I think it was.
Oh, that guy.
Where they literally... Yeah, I got it right here. The core is a 2003 movie. So Adam Shamir was
Disaster
a
flick.
13-year-old. G.J. Qualls was in that movie. Hilary Swank. Stanley Tucci. Kind of a stacked cast, actually. Delroy.
DJ Qualls, who is that?
Delroy is the one black character in the cast, and of course he sacrifices himself for the greater good, so that doesn't age wonderfully. DJ Qualls was the dude who was in like The New Guy. He's a very skinny,
Slender man.
frail. He's a very slender man. That movie's not very good.
Yeah,
Richard Jenkins in it. He's a general. Anyways,
DJ Qualls plays a general?
No. Richard Jenkins does.
Oh,
the
okay.
dad and
Let's
Step
get out.
Brothers.
Okay, look.
We got to talk about football. We forgot about football.
Yeah, we can't tease football and then start talking about Road Trip starring DJ Qualls and
It's true.
Tom Green.
It's true. It's true. Aaron Schroeder. I went to the USC game.
Adam Chimeo.
I had a blast. It
Yeah,
was
you did.
overall a good game, and then the refs came in and fucked it up. But we had someone who was watching very, very closely, probably closer than I was, and I was there. Hithliday of Addicted to Quack. How you doing, Hithliday?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I was at the game, man. I got in the Shrinkinator. We don't got to go into it, but crazy shit. Well, we wanted to give you an option, a wide option of what to talk about. Do you want to talk about the meaning and the glory of the Heisman Trophy, or would you like to talk about how the refs screwed us over in this last game, breaking down each individual penalty? Which one would you like to start off with?
As you know, I hate both of those conversations. Regarding the officiating, it's a team sport. That's why I hate discussing the Heisman. I also hate motivated reasoning, which is, any Heisman conversation is replete with that, like people just picking up whatever stat they care about in that moment, which is why I hate that. Officiating affects the game, and the reason that it affects you can break penalties down into three basic categories. It's more complex than that, really. But so procedural stuff, your false starts, your illegal formations, that sort of stuff, whatever. There's also the real dumb stuff, the personal fouls, the pushing and shoving after a play and face mask and stuff, also sort of whatever. But the stuff that about the actual mechanics of a play, the advantage fouls. So I'm primarily talking about holding and pass interference, where it's it's how you play the game, right? If you're supposed to block and you're supposed to defeat that block. And if you lose your block, you're going to hold in order to keep that dude from getting to the quarterback and maybe hurting him, right? And so the ref needs to award that play to the defense for having won, when that hold occurs, and on the other way for pass interference, you're supposed to defeat the coverage. And if you defeat the coverage, that dude is probably going to try to interfere with you to avoid giving up a giant, pass. And so the ref is supposed to reward you, by throwing that flag to acknowledge that you defeated the coverage. Right. And so if the ref fails to do their job, in that way, by throwing or not throwing the flag as appropriate, then they've sort of defeated the purpose of the game, right? By not acknowledging who actually won that play. And so, the thing about bad officiating is that while it's true that in games between two evenly matched teams, like when Wazoo plays Cal, bad officiating doesn't matter because it's gonna come out in the wash, right? All the bad flags and bad non-flags, when two equally good or equally bad or equally mediocre teams play, all the bad flags and bad non-flags are gonna come out in the wash because they're gonna defeat blocks or not defeat blocks. They're going to defeat coverage or not defeat coverage at an equal rate throughout the game. And so it doesn't really, ultimately in each individual play in which an unjust penalty or non-penalty occurs is individually painful, but in the aggregate at the end of the day it all sort of washes out. But when you have an inferior team playing in a superior team, then bad officiating disproportionately hurts the superior team I don't have to explain that, right? You know, like, because the better team winning is not going to have the rules enforced as they should. Right. And so, like, that's why in this season, when Oregon has a championship caliber team, I don't need to explain that either, right? And they're like blowing every team out. You know, like the bad officiating that is replete throughout the Pac-12, and which I don't generally enjoy talking about, is that much more painful because, like, every time that they're held on the defensive line and that flag doesn't occur is a win that doesn't get to be acknowledged. You know, every time that they defeat coverage and the defensive pass interference flag isn't thrown, that's a win that doesn't get to be acknowledged. Or, you know, or the other way around. Like every time that they've, you know, effectively defended a receiver and they're have a flag thrown on them that they shouldn't have, that's I gotta say, well, they, you know, a 15-yard penalty and a first down was given, you know, and yet, you know, etc. So, like,
when Terrence Ferguson spins the ball, it's not acknowledged if you throw it.
Well, fortunately, those dead balls I don't have to, and that only gets officiated on or enforced on the kickoff, which I don't care about. But, like, anyway, that's the frustrating thing, is that the better team is, you know, when there is a mismatch between opponents, as what happened in this game where Oregon was clearly the superior team, which is like very clear when you control for garbage time, which like the entire fourth quarter was. Like when you eliminate garbage time, and like, boy, that fourth quarter was garbage time. Holy cow, was it garbage time? Like, it was very, very super obvious that it was garbage time. I mean, not just like the fact that there was a massive score differential, like a 22-point score differential for, you know, just, you know, as soon as Bucky Irving crossed the goal line in the first play of the fourth quarter, it was a 22-point score differential, which every advanced statistical system uses as the discriminator. But also, like, you could look qualitatively at the way that they played, where like USC is in total desperation passing mode, you know, and Oregon is playing, like, their defense is, you know, playing back in zone, you know, and on the other side of the ball, Oregon is sort of in clock killer mode, and USC is trying to rake the ball. Like, they're playing for turnovers, right? If you look at the way that USC is playing pass defense, and you look at the way that they're playing when they're going to tackle, they're giving up extra yards because they're trying to rake the ball for turnovers, because they know that getting turnovers is the only way they're getting back in the game. Like, all of those are all classic qualitative hallmarks of garbage time, or the mere fact, like, it was frustrating that the refs threw that phantom DPI call on fourth down, but the mere fact that USC threw the ball deep on fourth and long from their own, whatever it was, 35, like, even if I didn't know what the time in the game and the score was, if you just told me the down and distance and the field position and the play call was, I would say, oh, that's a desperation heave on fourth and long. This must be a garbage time desperation drive. And sure enough, you know, it is, right? Like, the entire fourth quarter is garbage time. It deserves to be excluded. Once you exclude it, like,
Caleb Williams connected on, well, he did connect, but if somehow that 2-point conversion would have converted, would you still, is there any way we'd be like, well, there's a moment we were no longer in garbage time? Because technically,
no, because
it was
all of that
game.
because all of that is still, because once the garbage time qualifier hits, they can't, once it's 22 points in the fourth quarter, like, they can't win. Like, even if they get it down to 1 point, like, okay, so this game is decided by 9 points, right? If they had hit that 2-point conversion, that would mean that it was 7 points. In order for them to win, they would have had to get the onside kick and then score another touchdown, right?
Which, good luck.
We're talking about fantastically improbable events, right? That's why 22 points in the fourth quarter. It's because it would require them scoring twice, hitting 2-point conversions, hitting onside kicks, Oregon never scoring, right? Like, all of the, you know, it would, like, such a fantastically improbable string of events would need to occur for them to win, that, like, even though mathematically it's not impossible for it to happen, you just say, look, it's garbage time. And so even though, like, many of them did because of sloppiness and officiating, like, whatever, like, the fact that it got to be, you know, somewhat close again is irrelevant. That it happened due to qualitatively different and non-representative gameplay, and therefore it is wholly appropriate to exclude it. Now, I'll still save the tape, and it'll probably make it an off-season project to examine stuff, because like about a third of all snaps that Oregon's played this year have been garbage time snaps. That's good. That's like a healthy. Yeah, that's like a healthy amount of meat. That's like that's like meat on the ham bone that like you save and make soup with later, which I'll probably hand that off to the intern to write an article about.
Of course.
But which I don't know if you're like me, like when I roast a ham, that's actually what I'm looking forward to most, is making soup with it, like a split pea soup, or like a ham bone soup with like fried cabbage. Anyway,
hell yeah.
So yeah, once you exclude garbage time, like, oh my god, this was a mollywop. And like
I've realized we've almost gotten to the point where every episode for the past couple of weeks you've given us a little bit of cooking instruction. We almost have like a full cookbook here.
Maybe I'm just hungry when you have me on in the morning before I eat breakfast. Like I go for my run and then I record with you and then I eat breakfast. Like, you should eat first. Once you exclude garbage time, it's very clear it's just a total, Oregon ran them out of the building, which Oregon's got to be used to fighting a two-front war, with the way the officiating is going. The U.S. military's policy is they have to be able to fight and win a war on two fronts against two different great powers simultaneously, which like USC and the Zebras, two different great powers.
No joke, man. No joke. And it really felt like Caleb Williams was having to do Williams shit to keep this conceivably
59% of all non-garbage time yards that USC gained in this game came off of scrambles. Came off of 6 scramble plays. Caleb Williams. 60% of their offense is just Caleb Williams making shit up. And like that's including their entire designed rushing offense, right? Like their entire designed rushing offense, their entire designed passing offense, 40% of their yards. 6 broken pass plays where Caleb Williams makes something up, 60% of their plays. Oregon forced a sack, scramble, or throwaway on 56% of USC's dropbacks, which is, I've literally in my life, I've never seen the number go over 50%, like in a single game. Now, I think enough of those happened where I think Caleb Williams sort of welcomed it. Like he wasn't like, oh boy, I'm just immediately doing this, but it was like any sign of trouble, he was like, oh, screw this, I'm out of here. And like, as well he might, because like he was calling the game better than Lincoln Riley. That's tongue in cheek. The like he wasn't really. And in fact, actually in my article, I talk about some of the stuff that Lincoln Riley was doing, especially like he went back into his playbook, and on the first play of each drive for 4 different drives, he pulled out a run play that they either hadn't run in weeks or had never run. Like there was a bunch of like really fun and like I put one in my article. I didn't want to put all of them in because I was like, this isn't really representative, and they weren't successful on all of them. It was only like 2 of them. But like it was still interesting. Like it was like, because Lincoln Riley really he designed some really interesting power blocked runs. Like I really do think maybe he's one of the best in the business. Maybe the best in the business at designing power blocked runs and then RPOs off of them. Like I really genuinely think he's a fascinating and really awesome. Like I could geek out about Lincoln Riley's schematic, like run game and then RPOs off of that power run game for a long time. I was really like that element of it. I mean, it was a small element of this game, but like I was really cool. And so when I just said, like, Caleb Williams is calling this game better than Lincoln Riley, I just instantly felt guilty about saying that, because, like, actually that was really cool.
He's a patron, too, He listens.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, but it's just the reality, and it doesn't really have to do with Lincoln Riley. Frankly, it has to do with his offensive line, and his offensive line is not his fault. It's Clay Helton's fault. That's an inherited situation that he couldn't possibly repair in a year. He tried to repair it with a bunch of portal transfers, but as I have been spending years talking about, Adam, as I'm sure you recall from the podcasts that we have done together, it's just that's an impossible task. Portal based offensive lines don't work. You have to grow them organically. And he hasn't had the opportunity to grow his offensive line organically because of what Clay Helton did to him. And so Oregon's defensive line, which has been grown organically, just destroyed it. On every play, just destroyed it. It absolutely, that's the defining fact of this game, or one of two defining facts of this game. The other, and so just they couldn't run the ball. Oregon held them to their season low in rushing, and really, if you recall from our conversation with Alicia, rushing was USC's secret weapon. They're a very efficient run team, but they couldn't do anything on the ground against Oregon's defensive front. And if you read my article, I will get a little deeper into how exactly Oregon played the run, and then how they sort of trusted their defensive front, their defensive line, just 4 dudes to stop both the run and the pass on their own, and how that gave them advantage. When I say stop the run and stop the pass, I also what I mean by that is get into the backfield with a pass rush. They weren't just blitzing constantly. They did blitz a few times, but really their pass rush most of the time was just rushing 4. And then they did lots of sims, where it wasn't just the 4 dudes on the line. They'd mix it up, and I had a little bit of criticism. There was a couple sims that weren't working, but beyond that, anyway, my point being that that gave them an advantage because they could consistently drop 7 into coverage, which is what they needed to do to contain this passing offense, and was another reason why Williams was scrambling all the damn time, because he couldn't just immediately find his outlet pass. That's another thing. If you read my article and look at the clips, it's just look, he can't find anybody, or he can't find his initial read, he can't find his second read, and oops, the pass rush is in his face, and that's why he's taken so many sacks. And that's
it was
why
nice to see we have the athletes to chase him down too.
Right, not just chase him down, but cover all of his receivers.
Yeah.
And Oregon was really, in the initial phase of the game, was playing a ton of man, which most teams don't have the athletes to just nut up and play man.
No.
Dude. I'm talking, we're about to go 3 national championships.
3? Yes! All right. What do you think of that? No,
I teased and said, just to avoid leaving people hanging, I teased and said there were 2 salient facts about this game. One was that just the Oregon's defensive front on its own was crushing USC's offensive line, and if that is the case, that just nothing that the offense can do within structure, and it has to be done out of structure by Caleb Williams, which he was doing his damnedest. I mean, he's the scariest quarterback in college football, because what he can do out of structure is incredible. The other salient fact is on the other side of the ball, which is that USC's secondary, really their front as well. Their front is no great shakes, but their secondary is just so badly coached and developed that even with Alex Grinch's firing, there's just nothing they can do about it in a week. They're still badly coached and developed, and so Oregon just shredded them.
Yeah.
Shredded isn't the line that's in my article is that they might as well not have been on the field. Oh man, here's the line from my article. Oregon was averaging in the passing game, they were averaging 10.1 yards per attempt adjusted. Now, when I say adjusted, what I mean is I cap all gains for the purposes of computing yardage average. I cap all gains at 40 yards to deal with field position effects. That would take a while to explain. But just I treat even if you got 80 yards on the play, I treat it as though it's a 40-yard gain.
Sure.
So when I say 10.1 yards per pass attempt, that's with treating all things as 40. If I remove that cap, it's 14.4. Every
Nice.
time Bo Nix threw the ball unadjusted, he got 14.4 yards.
That's awesome.
And those
If-
two long scores certainly helped, right? Like right.
I
off
mean,
the bat.
yeah, which is like that's the that's the salient. And there's another one, and then there's also a touchdown that like that play is also in my article. The touchdown to Tez Johnson, where like the safety just runs the wrong way.
Yep.
And so he's wide open. Now that one's only for 21 yards, so I don't have to adjust it. But like that would have been a touchdown from 80 yards or 60 yards or whatever. The safety runs the wrong way because he doesn't know what he's doing because no one's ever coached him for a day he's ever been in college. And that's a super talented safety. I won't say his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but that's a super talented safety. That's a blue chip safety who has a million interceptions. That guy was single-handedly keeping USC in business last year by getting a million interceptions. He's a very talented human being, but he's never gotten a day's worth of coaching worth a damn in his life in Los Angeles because Alex Grinch was his safeties coach, and he runs the wrong way on that play, and Tez Johnson gets to be more wide open than he's ever been in his life, and Tez Johnson's been wide open a lot because he's a very talented receiver. And so, like, that was the central, Oregon has maybe the speediest receivers in this conference, and USC has the worst secondary in this conference. And so, like, I mean, you can't, that 1 to 12, the biggest mismatch that there could be. And so, like, yeah. And so in the early phase of this game, you should break, like in chess, we break it, the early game, the mid game, and the end game. Well, I exclude the end game because, it's all over but the shouting. The early game in which Oregon, like, jumps out to 19 points because they're just wham, 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 immediate scores, right? And then the mid game it's not exactly garbage time where they're sort of shutting it down exactly, but they're deliberately going on methodical drives. And so that's what the remainder of the offensive section of my article is about, I'm showing you clips in which Oregon is deliberately foregoing big plays in order to go on methodical drives because they're like, guys, we want to go on 9-play drives, which is what they do. Their first 2 drives are like 2 plays and 3 plays and touchdowns. Their next, the rest of the game, they have 7 meaningful possessions before the game goes into garbage time. The first 2 are super fast scoring drives. The other 5, they average 9 plays a drive, in which, as I document, they are deliberately foregoing big plays in order to march the field. Why? Because they're trying to keep the ball out of Caleb Williams' hands. They're deliberately going on methodical drives. So, like, that's the mid game. That's the sort of methodical.
Well,
so it's
also-
like strategy. There is strategic consciousness which exists on this team, which I do not. Most teams that I observe, certainly most teams in the Pac-12, do not possess strategic consciousness. They're at best tactical level consciousnesses. They are at best like, I need to do whatever works because I at most have one thing that works. And so I've got to do it. I got to do the thing. I got one tool.
Man,
Well, we got
I can't
one
wait to talk
nuclear
about ASU.
warhead.
Yeah, I can't. With Caleb Williams, yeah. I can't wait to talk about that ASU UCLA game. By the way,
Oh, boy.
On that note, but
Kenny Dillingham, that's a guy who, like,
I
he
have
doesn't
0 things.
He's got 0 things, so he started scrounging in the dirt and found some dirt and nails and rocks and broken
yeah.
glass, and he's like, I gotta make some stuff. That dude's
Motherfucker's
like the
MacGyver.
A-team, man. He's
Yeah.
like, you lock that guy in a garage and he will build a tank out of
Yeah.
a car and some sheet metal.
It's fucking bad. I love that guy. I really do. I love that team. I've never been a bigger Sun Devil fan than this moment. Anyways, this game, Oregon USC, which was, off-season projections was like, this is the game. This is the game. The attendance was great. I think they said it was definitely like a top 10 attended game, supposedly. The student section was there basically the entire damn time. Certainly during shout, full attendance throughout the entire stadium.
Yeah, that the touchdown that ended the game came right out of shout was just al baccio.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And what a touchdown. And it was nice that Bucky Irving, there's that moment where he went to the sideline where people were like,
Yeah.
oh, no. Went right back out there and just right down their throat. And it was a fantastic game. Like, I don't know. I was definitely nervous. It wasn't so much nervous. It was more furious at the fucking refs. But we don't have to talk anymore about that, I promise. Also, Heisman is bullshit. Why does it always go to the It's like, it's really who's the best QB on the best team.
Yeah,
really.
Brandon
right?
Dorlus for Heisman. How about that?
Sure.
Let's start
Why
that
not?
campaign.
Why not? Bucky Irving. Throw him out there. Like, why not Bucky Irving? Especially if I forget the person they always talk about, the receiver at Ohio State. It's like, okay, well, Troy Franklin then. Why fucking not? We're not very far off, by the way, Aaron, from a couple of big records broken for Troy Franklin, which would basically solidify him as the best receiver ever to play at Oregon.
Really?
I think he needs like 2 touchdowns to have the most single season touchdowns by a receiver. And then I believe he needs about 91 yards or something for most yards in a single season. So
he's got that. He's got
knock
both.
on wood,
That's
but
fucking amazing.
it shouldn't be hard.
That's easy.
That's easy.
That's nothing.
Come on, I could do that. 2 touchdowns, 91
touchdowns?
yards?
The
Please.
dude's gonna get like another 5
Against Arizona State?
or
Please.
8
Yeah.
over the next few games.
Arizona State is the next one down in the desert at about 1 p.m., which is nice. We'll talk about Arizona State. We should win that game.
We will win that game.
You would hope
Oregon's
so.
the bad guys going up against the A team. I don't know.
Yeah, like it would be. I would only applaud ASU at that point. It would be such an amazing endeavor they pulled off. And then Oregon State, which holy shit, that could be a big one. Hit the day. Do you have any more to talk about this game? Any other points that you want to cover before we get into the picks?
No. I'm glad the game against Caleb Williams is in the rear view window mirror. The thing is, because because if they lost this game, the way the Pac-12 standings works is there's a possibility that this game would come up again. And the thing is, Oregon's never going to play Caleb Williams again. There's no way that he sticks around. He's going to the NFL.
Yeah.
And
Good for him.
Which, good for him. Totally. And there are quarterbacks who are having more productive seasons than him. I would even say that there are quarterbacks who are better passers than him, like pure pocket passers. And to the extent that you define a quarterback as like that's your central role as a pocket passer, or maybe even the NFL wants, in terms of that quality, like there's no player who terrifies me more. Like you can plan for pocket passers, like you can design a defense to sort of understand, because they have to play by rules. The greatest swordsman in the land does not fear the second greatest swordsman. He fears the swordsman who he has no idea what he's going to do. Caleb Williams, oh my God, you have no idea what that dude is going to do. Like like I have an entire clip section in my article that's like, you're not supposed to do that.
Like that, like the 2-point conversion attempt, that was
or
something only he could do.
Or where it's like, hey, I know, I'll throw back across my body across the middle of the field. Like this should be an interception, instead it's a first down. Like, it's like, you gotta, like, are you kidding me, dude?
He is,
so like. Yeah, no, it's not. So, I'm real glad that Oregon doesn't have to play that dude again. Like, to the extent that Oregon's going to play somebody in the championship game where it's like, they're scary, but it's an offense that I can understand, and to the extent that you can understand it, you can defeat it.
My super specific prediction of holding them to their season low of points was not far off, man. Which they 20 against Notre Dame. There's a universe where I could have gotten it, but apparently not this one.
What my prediction was more interceptions than passing touchdowns, which was way wrong.
Yeah. But hey, there you go.
I got mine right.
What was that? I forget.
They specifically mentioned adopted
were
stepbrother.
brothers.
The
Yeah.
phrase adopted. They
Oh,
said
It was like the
well,
first thing that they said
it's-
because like
I
the
mean,
second
it
play of the
became
game was
story
Tez
hour.
Johnson. Yeah,
I was
Of
like,
course.
well, I
And Tim, what did Tim Brando also mention? He mentioned that
he mentioned
Royce
Mariotti.
Freeman. Yeah, Royce Freeman was moved to receiver because I think he said Michael. I think referring to LaMichael James.
I think he was talking about Byron Marshall.
Byron Marshall, okay, was such a good running back that Royce Freeman became a receiver, which was really good for Marcus Mariota.
Yeah,
And that's again, this is a stance I've had before. We need term limits for sportscasters. I've said it in the past.
Well,
Let's get some
also-
new blood in there.
We also, I think, we just need like a cap on how many drinks they can have per.
Yeah, that'd be
broadcast.
good. That would be really good.
yeah. I don't know
Holy
what to tell
shit.
you, man. Like sports commentary, sports writing is the last redoubt of mediocre white men. Like
No,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
where somehow
Like-
like enthusiasm for the game is a substitute for expertise. Like yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's also just like these motherfuckers that are just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about college sports. It's what I'm gonna do every week. This is my main job. I get paid ridiculously well for it. I refuse to learn a Polynesian name. It's like, what are you doing then?
Yeah.
Shit, man.
Oh.
It's like working at Subway and be like, I refuse to touch lunch meat. It's like, well, then get the fuck out of here. Anyways, let's get to our next segment.
The pigs.
Speaking of mediocre white man, here we go. Let's get into it. First game we're breaking down. Washington State versus Colorado Buffaloes. Well,
is
this
tough.
game.
The two teams I said don't pick anymore.
Yeah, don't pick these teams. I think we all went with we all chose the same team, but I don't.
Yeah, we all
Yeah.
chose Cal to beat Wazoo, which happened,
Which all,
and
yeah, what
we
am I-
all we all chose Arizona to beat Colorado, which happened, but barely.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Like Arizona kind of derped it up in that game against Colorado. Colorado looked a lot better than they had, and Arizona had to win on a walk-off field goal.
Good God.
And Cal was ahead for a lot at the beginning of the game, but Wazoo actually fought back. And actually gave them a very strong game. They did not look like the sort of mess of a team that I was expecting them to. And at the end of the game, Cal was doing some Tosh Lapoy stuff. Like Wazoo
I know what you mean.
Wazoo fans are very upset at some of the stuff that Cal had to pull to win that game at the end.
I did not watch a single second of the Cal Wazoo game. That is the first game all season that I didn't watch a highlight of, so I had no idea. I liked that I could back Cal, though. I knew Cal was going to do it.
So anyway, it's kind of funny, even though we all picked those games the same way, and the outcome was as we said, like kind of what we said about those teams, that like Cal was going to whip Wazoo and Arizona was going to whip Colorado. Like
No.
that's not what happened. Yeah.
No, that Arizona Colorado game, I did watch that, and that was ridiculously close. Like it really came down to it. I couldn't tell you why. Really, like there's no reason why this Colorado defensive line or their offensive line should have their way at all. But it was cool that Arizona won. Like
So anyway, even though that's why I'm sort of walking this back, because I said like, haha, it's the battle between the two teams that I said don't pick again. I just immediately felt a pang of guilt because I was like, wait a minute, actually both of those teams played much tougher than I predicted, you know, last week. So like, actually, this might be kind of a battle. Let's see.
well, and you have to pick one this week.
Well, yes.
clearly.
Also, the ties no longer exist.
Okay, so Colorado still fighting for bowl eligibility. They're so
Wow.
damn close. They got 2 games left. They have to win both.
God damn.
Wazoo technically can still make a bowl if they win this and beat Washington, but that feels unlikely.
It'd be funny if it happened, but
I mean,
Very
it
unlikely.
would be hysterical if it
feels,
happened.
and
but-
Washington's played down, but I'm not sure about that one. But I'm really feeling. Well, this is tough. This is in Pullman. Who knows what the crowd is going to be like up there in the Palouse? I imagine Wazoo fans are used to having a crappy team to root for, so I imagine they're still going to show up in force.
It's
right?
good logic, Adam.
Right?
I mean, it's funny, but I can't knock that logic.
It ain't new for them. Colorado, I imagine. I don't know. They feel a little unmotivated lately. Well, like they're fighting on the field, but expectations.
They probably just played other than those 3 first games that they played, in which like everybody was super excited about them, because they beat what now everyone is very clear about are terrible TCU, Nebraska, and Colorado State teams.
Yes.
Like they probably played their best game of the season.
Yeah, I'd say so. Against a quality opponent in Arizona.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Arizona's probably a better team than USC. Like their previous best game of the season was against USC. This Arizona team is probably better than that USC team.
Probably.
I mean, this Arizona team should have beat that USC team if Jedfish had a pair and went for 2 in overtime.
Yeah. I'll go with. I'll certainly go with Colorado in this one. I'm feeling it.
I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Yeah, if I can back the Buff train and it actually makes some sense, why not? I could totally see Wazoo taking it, but why not go?
Haha, I tricked you. I'm going with Wazoo. I'm gonna build my lead.
I mean, I know why Wazoo would win for all the reasons we said. For all the other reasons why Colorado has not looked great. Like their line play just ain't there.
Yep,
we'll
that's
see what
it.
happens.
That's my reason for picking them. For everything else that's going wrong with Wazoo, their edge rushers are a strength, and Colorado's offensive line is a weakness, and I think that's where the game is won for Wazoo. I also think that these are 2 teams where who is at home is super relevant, and Wazoo is at home, and Colorado's on the road.
Night game, yeah.
Yeah, so give me Wazoo.
Interesting.
I hope the 2 QBs just go off. Like I hope it's a QB battle. That'd be pretty fun.
I think it'll actually be.
For your life.
I actually think it'll be the opposite. I think it'll be a low-scoring game.
Yeah,
but that because I really just think the Wazoo's defense is just gonna really shut down Colorado.
fair enough.
Should we
It would
have
be
that
the
as a
first.
side bet? Extra
not?
point?
Not extra point.
I'll
Fuck
take
no.
I'll take.
Fuck
I'll
no.
take. What's the over/under on this game?
Oh, I don't know. We don't look these up. I'll look
Let's
it
say
up.
21 points.
I can probably find it real quick.
Over under.
They're probably like 1.5 points. They're like 4 points.
Well, for the over under, like the total score we're talking about
Yeah.
here, 64.5. Whoa, what?
Oh.
Oh yeah, give me the under. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be my
that's
side
awesome.
bun. Super under. Yeah. No
Dang,
way.
yeah.
No way. These 2 teams are both scoring the 32
Holy shit.
points.
Is Vegas
yeah.
asleep
This-
at the wheel on this one? What is
This
going
one,
on?
yeah, this one's gonna be like 24-20.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that. I want it to be a battle too, but like, have you seen this Washington State offense?
Yeah,
They haven't
yeah,
been
yeah.
doing that.
You know, it only takes a couple of refs to not call holding and not call pass interference to make big games happen like that.
Good
There you go.
callback. Good callback.
Let's
Just
do it.
saying. Just saying.
On to the next one. This is an interesting one. This is a huge one. And if you're a Duck fan, I think your decision is kind of made who you want to win because there's a scenario here. I
Okay.
believe Oregon can clinch a Pac-12 a spot in the championship game. If Oregon wins, if Washington wins against Oregon State this Saturday,
Okay.
and if Utah beats Arizona.
There at this point there are only 4 contenders or only 4 teams could possibly make it to the
Right.
title game, which are Oregon, Washington, Oregon State, and Utah. So if Utah
the
gets
Beavs?
The Beavs?
well, they
Oh,
only
yeah,
have
dude.
2 conference losses to Wazoo and to
Oh,
to
shit.
Arizona.
Yeah, man.
So if they take a third conference loss, or if Utah takes the third conference loss, then they're out of the race.
Got it.
So that's, that's I don't want to root for the Huskies. It always blows, but it'd be pretty cool to have a sure spot there. That's my main priority this season. Like, fuck the playoffs, honestly. I want to win the Pac-12. Number 18, Utah will go and take on Arizona and Tucson. Number 21, Arizona, which is pretty cool to see. Saturday, 11:30 a.m., Pac-12 Network. Arizona just struggled with a bad Colorado team. Utah, they... Oh, wait, what did Utah do? They
played
Arizona
Washington.
State too. Oh, that's right. They played Washington. It was a close game, even with Bryson Barnes as quarterback. He had
They got
one
shut
of his
out in the second
one
half.
of his best games.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I won't say a good game, but like one of his best games. There was also a part. This was a close game. It was like a one-score game for much of it. Washington picks off Bryson Barnes, runs it like 90 yards or something the other way, and somehow pulls a Kalen Clay. And you know this, Aaron. You're running in for the pick six. Oh my God, it's happening! And in a celebratory move, drops the ball behind him at the 3-yard line. I swear,
And it just
3-yard
drops
line.
dead. It falls
He throws
like
it
was-
behind him.
it was
think I saw-
weighted down with lead. I mean, it just died.
Yeah, it would
like,
Yeah, and Hillary, I don't know if you know the guy's name, but I will say
Kalen
I
Clay.
clocked the guy who actually jumped on the ball.
Oh, McPhee, the number 52, the offensive lineman.
Yeah, shout out to him because he's Washington's defenders is streaking down the field. This offensive lineman is he's technically maybe kind of the only one who has the angle, but he doesn't have the speed, obviously.
Sure.
But you know what he does? He
gets
keeps
there first.
running. No, he keeps running as if he's gonna possibly catch him. And if he hadn't done that, he wouldn't be in a position to see that he dropped the ball early, and not only that, he wouldn't have been in a position to jump on that ball. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Unfortunately, then they got a safety and had to
They
punt
called
it
a
away.
really dumb, Andy Ludwig, go figure, calls a really dumb run play. From 9 yards deep in the end zone.
Yeah.
And so they get a safety. So they hand Washington 2 points and the ball back. All right.
I will say there was a moment in our game too where we did have a bad exchange in our own end zone, and thank God Jordan James grabbed it and was able to get positive yards. But thank God that happened. But so that's where Utah's coming out.
That's a
pretty tough bullshit loss, honestly.
Remember last week when I mentioned Parker Fleming's, did we get beat that bad, graph for, net success rates?
Mm-hmm.
So, the graph this week had three different games in which Pac-12 games on the left side of the graph in which the better team lost. The losing team from a per play success rate basis, outplayed the winning team. One of them was UCLA ASU, which we'll talk about shortly.
Wow.
One of them was what did I just say? ASU UCLA.
Yeah.
One of them was the Cal Wazoo game, which was tight. Like I said, Wazoo actually outplayed him, and Cal did some tricky stuff. And then this game, Utah outplayed Washington, and the game took place in Seattle, and
there was a
stuff happens in
bullshit pass interference.
yeah,
Oh my God.
I mean, among other things,
There was, but specifically that one, I think, was just fucking mind blowing that they called that one.
We're all criminals in Seattle. Facts. We're corrupt.
I mean, look at Washington. I was just talking about Oregon having to fight two front wars, and Oregon's winning, by, multiple scores, right? 9 points is a multi-score, victory,
Yeah.
and probably should have been more than that, right? While facing adversity of some sloppiness and some, they're putting games into garbage time. They're fighting against the refs. Stuff is going against them, right? Meantime, you've got certain other teams that are like everything's going against them, and they're eking games out. Like they're winning 1-score games with everything going their way. And like, dude, that's not sustainable.
Certainly hope not. In this one, it's a pretty great matchup. I want Utah to win. And especially with Arizona's struggles against Colorado, that does scare me. I can imagine either team totally winning. Yeah. I'll give it to. Fuck, this is tough. I'll give it to Utah.
Me too,
pull
buddy.
Out some Utah shit is basically what it comes down to. How about you?
I've also got Utah, which is I'm not doing just because you guys picked it, and I don't want to.
Sure.
Sure, I bet.
This is all over the map. Like FBI loves Utah, Beta Rank loves Arizona, SP Plus is down the middle. Vegas has it as a pick 'em. Like nobody knows how to pick this game. I'm going with Utah because of this is going to sound dumb, but I'm going with Utah because like I like Kyle Whittingham in close games more than I like Jed Fish.
Yeah,
like
that doesn't sound dumb.
I think this game is probably going to be a very close game, and it's going to come down to a couple of late game or maybe mid game or just it actually doesn't matter when it happens, but it's going to come down to a couple of coaching calls. It's going to come down to a couple do I go for it or not on this, 4th down? Do I kick this field goal or punt or, stuff where like the head coach, matters. And like, I think that's where give it to the gray hair.
Yeah. Beautiful gray hair, by the way. I was watching a clip of an old game with Kyle Whittingham, and his hair game is improved drastically. It's
definitely agree.
He's
the hot zaddy of the Pac-12.
Absolutely.
Or really the entire FBS. Like, who's zaddy number 2? Like Dave Clawson, maybe?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'd have to really think about that one. I have my zaddy ratings, but those usually come out at the end of the year. USC versus UCLA. This is actually, Saturday, 12:30 p.m., ABC. I would imagine... I know the Trojans can do something well. I know the Trojans can throw the ball. I know they have Caleb Williams. There's only one of those in the world. So I know that. I know they got shit defense. But I know that doesn't matter. Like, UCLA's offense is a garbage fire, which is strange since theoretically you hired an offensive guru. And their offense looks like shit in year 6 or whatever for Chip Kelly and Aaron. So UCLA.
I feel like I was saying that last year.
No, it's
I'm
true.
past
You've hated
that.
Chip for a while, yeah. Aaron, and my new philosophy, my new theory is that Chip Kelly equals Mark Helfrich, except Chip Kelly's an asshole. That's the only difference between these two.
Yeah, I love that.
And Mark Helfrich is a diehard Homer Duck fan that truly loves the program. Chip Kelly doesn't give two shits about any Duck in his entire life. That's how I feel.
No.
Well, and about any Duck fan or the program. I bet you he has some connections.
I don't think he
with
gives
players.
a shit about any fan in general.
Any person that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of my theory right now. So UCLA looks fucking terrible. I mean, they got some decent defensive players. Not even fully going to say a great defense or anything like that. Aaron, they went against a school, Arizona State. I mean, I said this last week when I was trying to find some upset because I didn't want to choose the same one. We all had the same picks last week. I was looking for something. No way. I wanted to choose ASU, but no way was I going to choose ASU because they're beaten up. They're having some like QB issues. Like, Trent Bourguet's giving it his damnedest. Didn't even know if he was going to play in this game. Cam Scatterbo is very fun, but there's only so much trickeration that you can use around him to force points. They're just beaten up. They don't have the greatest lines. Like, they're very scrappy and they fight, though. They're pretty solid defense, honestly. But, motherfucker, Kenny Dillingham went on Google this last week. He looked up how to do the swinging gate, which swinging gate, from what I know, is like what you use when you want to get a 2-point conversion. When you want to go for 2.
It's how when you have your like long snapper, you need him to throw a pass.
Yeah, like that's what you go for. He put that in. We're gonna use this in the game, and
like all the time.
Not all the time.
18 plays. He did an entire drive of the swinging gate.
18 plays.
So, like,
It
how
worked?
like the rules say you have
won.
to have 5 offensive linemen, on the line. They have to be in jerseys numbers 50 through 79.
Right.
They have to be up on the line of scrimmage. The rules do not say they have to be in the center of the formation.
Right.
They can be off to the side if you want. Like, they can be anywhere. So, like, you have to snap the ball from between the hashes, but like, so the center has to be there, but the other guys can be wherever. So like, yeah, you can go put them somewhere else. Like, you can have some tight ends somewhere. Like, yeah, as long as the formation technically adheres to the kind of abstruse rules about what constitutes a legal formation, you can snap that ball.
Awesome.
To
Go for
whomever.
it.
It doesn't have to be a quarterback. It can be a tight end. It can be your running back / punter
Yeah.
who throws touchdowns now. So like Cam Scatterbo is Cam Scatterbo now officially throws touchdowns, is a running back, is a punter. That's it. Like, give him the Heisman. Actually, just screw
honestly.
it. Screw all of it. Give Cam Scatterbo the Heisman.
That's fucking for real, man. Like, that's where if the Heisman was a real thing, that's where you should be looking for. Like, this team has nothing to fight for, but is fighting every damn week. And this player that, like, most other elite rosters wouldn't even sniff for, like, a walk-on. They are just using his grit to will wins, and it's fucking awesome. And
meanwhile, Chip
UCLA.
Kelly, just like complete dilettante. Just like, I don't know what, like, I do know what he's trying to do. I think he's trying. I think he's trying to put something on film for like coaching clinics. Like, he's doing, like, it's not the A-team trying to bust out of the garage and kill the bad guys and rescue the princess or whatever it is their mission is. Like Kenny Dillingham's trying to win the game, like by whatever means necessary. And I mean, the reason I don't really think that it's like Kenny Dillingham's a threat to Oregon is because I think he called his shot. Like, he identified UCLA as a team that he could beat this week and put everything into it. And like, everything.
I like that.
And like, because UCLA is a team that he could beat, because Chip Kelly's UCLA, let me repeat that, is a team where he's got nothing but, gravel and broken glass and nails that he scrounged off the ground and he could scratch at them with to beat, because that's what UCLA is right now.
It's nuts. It is truly, like, the fact that UCLA wasn't able to score more than what was it, 1 touchdown?
Yeah,
like,
at the end of the game, that was pointless. Like,
it's bonkers with what they should be.
Yeah,
this isn't his first.
And with
season.
their schedule, where where they're in year 6 of Chip Kelly, with their schedule where they don't play Oregon and Washington, and they had a soft non-conference, like, they should have backed their way into the conference championship game. Oh, and you know what? I know I said this before, but everything that has happened in UCLA's schedule, everything that's happened in their season, I predicted to a T in my June preview article that I wrote of UCLA which I didn't have to write because Oregon doesn't. I just said this. Oregon doesn't play UCLA. I wrote that article for fun, and I still wrote a better UCLA preview, a more professional, objective, and accurate preview of UCLA than anybody working at the LA Times, Bruin Report Online.
Certainly not David
I mean,
Woods, though, right?
Chris Osgood accepted, but he's a retrospective film review. I mean, he does a fantastic job of reviewing film, but he's a reviewer. He doesn't make predictions. Because I approach my job professionally. I use methodically, rigorous data analysis, and I view it with clear eyes. I do not suffer from enthusiasms.
Yep.
And this industry is shot through with mediocre white men.
Yeah.
Especially, I remember you especially called exactly what was going to happen with Dante Moore. Where it's like, yep, he's going to get some playing time, and then he's probably going to get benched because Chip Kelly's not going to know what to do with him. And
I do remember that.
Yep. It's amazing. It's like you gotta applaud ASU because again, this is like group of 5, or like this is.
Some of
not
them
the
are.
talent.
I actually don't think that that's exactly the right. You know what? We'll talk about ASU. Oregon's going to play ASU. It's not exactly true. It's actually really interesting. You could see when they were playing Utah. Actually, that it really popped where they've got a couple of players who are actually very good. Their tight end
Badger's
Conyers,
awesome.
Badger, the wide receiver, Scatabo, who they picked up. Kick ass. And there's going to be a play in my article where it's clear as day where they need everybody to block on this particular play. They need everybody on the team to be blocking. And the dudes who are winning their blocks, it's the good players. And the dudes who are losing their blocks, well, it's everybody else. And so it's like that's the Kenny Dillingham sort of that's the bind that he's in, is that he's got a team. It's inaccurate to say, oh, he's got a team of nobodies, because it's not true. He's got a team where he's actually got quite a few somebodies. It's just the sign over his door doesn't say Oregon or Florida State or Auburn anymore. He wasn't able to get a bunch of blue chips by snapping his fingers. The guys that he got, he just wasn't able to get enough good players. And then on top of that, his quarterbacks got all hurt, and his offensive line is actually, people aren't talking about this because people never talk about the offensive line. Oh my God, I've never seen more of a disaster area at offensive line. I mean, it's not just like the situation that he inherited, although he inherited a bad situation. And it's not just that he wasn't able to help it through the portal, because nobody's able to really help it through the portal. The injury situation going on at ASU's offensive line would make you cry. Like, it is, if you had any idea what is happening to his offensive line, you would break down in tears. It is tragic. I mean, honestly, genuinely, like, it is horrifying, the things that are happening to his offensive line. And the fact that he has been able to fight and claw and scratch for some wins and for some good performances, like against USC and some other teams, is amazing. Just honestly amazing with the injury situation that he's facing at that offensive line. Just absolutely incredible.
And if, honestly, I would be Pac-12 Coach of the Year, depending if they get
really,
really,
the job that he's doing. Deion Sanders gets all the attention for obvious reasons for turning over 60 players on his roster and doing as good of a job as he did. Kenny Dillingham turned over 50 players on his roster and did almost as good of a job and almost as monumental of a task.
Same roster. If Kenny Dillingham had Deion Sanders' roster, they'd already be bowl eligible. Just saying. Okay, so
and
USC,
with a substantially tougher schedule.
Oh yeah, USC versus UCLA. We've talked a whole lot about UCLA. We've talked about USC here. Because of what we've said about UCLA, I'm going with USC because I can plant my flag, and they've got Caleb Williams. They've got an offense. Lincoln Riley knows what he's doing on offense.
We keep needing to talk about this game instead talk about a bunch of other games.
I know, because I don't want to talk about UCLA anymore because they're terrible. I'm going with USC.
Yep.
How about you, Hith?
Oh boy, this game is so stupid. I mean, what this game reminds me of is like the 2010 USC UCLA game. Remember that? That was between like 7-5 Lane Kiffin on sanctions and 4-7 Rick Neuheisel, where it was something like 30 combined NFL draft picks.
Good God.
Were on those two teams that were completely irrelevant. In like a totally meaningless game. Like, yeah, I can, and yeah, yet again, two massive wastes of talent. Irrelevancy in Los Angeles, and then what did they do? They blew up the Pac-12 and are getting paid for it. Like, yet again, what a bunch of losers. God.
Yet again.
What a bunch of, losers being rewarded for their loserdom.
Dude.
I guess.
Corrupt.
Yeah,
corrupt, bro.
USC, I guess. UCLA is just a ridiculous program, and USC has Caleb Williams. So, USC.
It's true. Well, we already talked about this game. This is the nicest card, I think. Just that Sun Devil, that duck. It looks good together. Now,
they work together, yeah.
I mean, I'll just straight up just ask both of you, are either of you going to choose ASU in this?
No, of course not.
No, of course not.
I know. I think you're right, Hith, too, that it's just like, even if we played ASU before UCLA, like those bag of tricks wouldn't have worked on us. Like, it's just they're different teams. I love ASU. I
sort of
like
suspect that Dillingham probably emptied his bag of tricks too.
Yeah.
Like I think that I think he called his shot. I think he looked at his schedule and he was like, "Look, man, I got to win some of these." And so he sort of concentrated his fire.
Absolutely.
It's just like why distribute it against Oregon in these sort of games that he's got a very low percentage chance of winning, and instead like I know that sort of sounds like a self-serving narrative as an Oregon fan, but like, and I will do just as hard a film study on this game as I do on any other game. In fact, I will genuinely enjoy it. As I tweeted out about like poor Chris Osgood has to study the USC offense in this game, and chipper old me, I get to watch all this swing and gate stuff and other fun stuff for Kenny. Like it'll be a treat, to look at this film. I will study it with aplomb. I'm not sure how I'll write it up because it'll be like, I don't know if he's going to do 18 swinging gate plays against Oregon. But like, I get that feeling that this was like, he charged up the weapon, and that the weapon has probably been discharged.
We're gonna snap one. We're gonna realize like, what the fuck? They're running the triple now.
Yeah.
So we're all going with that, but our hearts go out to you, Sun Devils. You're definitely the Quack 12 secondary team this season. We love it.
I don't know. My secondary team right now is Cal. I still got Cal to
you're
make
still
the bowl. So far so good.
Oh man, Stanford versus Cal. This is a good one. Did you hear about this? There's apparently a bunch of Cal fans went over to the Stanford campus and they posted a bunch of like kind of like wanted looking signs or missing signs, and it said, "Have you seen this axe?" This is the axe that they fight for, Stanford versus Cal in big game. And it just said, "Have you seen this axe?" And I had a picture of the axe, and it said, "It's not missing. We were just wondering if you've seen it," which made me laugh very hard. That's some good trolling.
Oh boy,
Stanford. I remember I was very adamant on, what are the points for Stanford? Plus 13 against Oregon State. Hell yeah, I'll take it. I think they're pluckier. They got their asses kicked against Oregon State. This is a Stanford team that you should kick their ass, quite frankly.
Yep.
If you're a serious football program. Cal is bordering on not serious, but they've got something to fight for.
You mean the team that Washington only scraped by at home?
Yeah. It's amazing, right? Cal has got a lot to fight for. They kind of really need the bowl eligibility. I mean, I don't think that they give a shit about Justin Wilcox being. I mean, they already extended him. His seat is not hot, but just for credibility's sake, get to a bowl game. God damn. Yeah. This two ACC powerhouses fighting against each other.
I know.
I guess I'll go with Cal, just because I think they are better than Stanford. That's what I got to say. What about you, Aaron? You
Fuck it,
mixing
give
up?
me Stanford.
Oh, this is your first.
It would,
Why not?
man. I mean, I've got Cal too, but like that man. As soon as Aaron said that, I just felt like in the pit of my stomach, like that's a wild ass Schroeder pick in which he's going to be right. Like, you know how he communes with the cosmos picks randomly, and then it's like we're all on Sunday, like what the fuck? He did it again? Like what?
Yeah. Like, man, it really started off strong when you nearly got the Southern Utah University upset of ASU. That was damn impressive, my man. Or was almost. But Stanford versus Cal, you're going with Stan. I like it.
Horseshoes
Why not?
and hand grenades, Adam. Horseshoes and hand grenades.
Why not? Could be the tree. And then we got the actual game of the week. Number 12, Oregon State versus number 5, Washington. Now, if Washington coming off that, that very Washington win against Utah, still undefeated. That's 10 games in a
The
row.
wind at their sails
Unbelievable.
win.
Yeah. And then number 12, Oregon State just destroyed Stanford. They only have 2 losses. One to Wazoo. What? And then another
but it was
to...
before Wazoo had packed it in, so
Yeah. It was a strange one. And they did try to rally back, but...
I mean,
yes,
it wasn't
they did
strange.
lose
It made total sense for the Wazoo that they played at the time. Like, it's just Wazoo has been strange, and that there's been like 2 different Wazoos.
Absolutely. And then Arizona is their other loss, and that was a very close game. Some very stupid decisions from Jonathan Smith, but it was a very competitive, close game. So now
it was
we got
one stupid decision, but it reflected where those teams were at. Like, structurally, that game totally made sense.
True. That's true. But the one thing lives rent free in my head.
Yes.
That's for sure. That and him milking himself.
Well, yeah.
Number 12 versus number 5 Washington. This is huge.
Wait, does Jonathan Smith milking himself mean that he would be the perfect fit for Texas A&M? Because that's agricultural and mechanical university.
Hey, I heard his name mentioned. I don't think Texas A&M money is wanting to go in that. They want a big splash, I'm guessing. That seems
Jonathan
they're
Smith
more
is
their
definitely
style.
not because he's pint-sized.
Yeah, because he's playing.
Although Jimbo Fisher is also pint-sized. He's like 5'8".
Maybe
He's like a
it's
safety.
something where they're actually kind of not wanting to spend a bunch of money, and maybe once Oregon State is in the Pacific Mountain West Conference, Jonathan Smith will want to get the fuck out of there, and maybe he'll go to Texas A&M. I don't know. Don't really care either. But
I can imagine no bigger swing in money than going from whatever OSU is going to land at to Texas A&M. Like, that's, talk about rags to riches.
This is an interesting one, especially the way Washington has been playing down so much. I do think Oregon State is a little overhyped. However, they are a more complete football team than a lot of other Pac-12 teams. And overall, they've been well coached, and DJU is a good, serviceable quarterback for this team. And they got good running backs. So, yeah. This will be a fun one. It's also...
The line's flipped. Oregon State is now favored in the betting lines by 2 points now.
Well, this is fun. And it's in Corvallis. It's
in
Corvallis.
the Potato Palace Palace.
Yeah.
Potato Salad
Okay.
Palace.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm sure you said that before, but that hit me. So Potato Salad Palace here. Whew. If Oregon State were to win this one, and let's say Oregon wins
Coleslaw
2,
complex.
that sets up for a pretty big game next week. That's could be a heartbreaker for the Ducks. I mean, we'll talk about that next week. But I don't know about this. This is truly a toss up. I think I'm gonna go with shit. This is really hard. How about you start, Aaron? I want to get your thoughts on
No,
this
because
one.
I know who I'm going with, and I want you to say yours first.
You want me to
Wait,
stay?
hold on. Last week you said deliberate collusion. You said I'm going to do everything I can to help Adam beat Hitler.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
yeah, but then but we discovered
give up
whoever
that
I pick
immediately?
loses, but yeah,
he forgot immediately. At least.
you want me to tell you who I pick?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So I kind of feel.
Speaking of two front wars, I got to think.
This is tough. I'm sandwiched in between you two right now on the YouTube too. So I guess you got to maybe go with just the home team.
That's right. That's right.
No, fuck it. I'm going with Washington.
Oh,
I'm always disappointed when I go with Washington because
Yeah,
if
that's
I
all right.
pick them to win, they.
Hey
I don't
man,
know.
just think of me
The Beavs,
when you
the
have to pick
Beavs are
them.
very strong. The coleslaw complex.
Yeah.
Yeah. That brand is the worst. It
Reese's,
is.
yeah.
I won't. No, let's not mention any companies here. But I am going to say I think the Beavs got this one, and I think
You're
it
going with
could
the
be
Beavs.
by like 2 points.
So they cover.
Yeah, I think so.
This is a tough Hitler Day. I'm interested in who you have in this one because it is a close game. I think this is I don't know.
I mean, you'll make it sound like the Huskies are only able to win because of officiating, and if they're at Beavs territory, then that's not going to really be a play.
Well, officiating and then every once in a while just having a deep touchdown pass to a very talented receiver.
I mean, and how long does that hold out? 10 in a row.
That's the question.
It's getting a little crazy at this point. Like, really? 11? Really undefeated? Really? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Oregon State is very difficult to beat at the Mac Salad Mausoleum. And yeah, it is a factor. And like, well, especially because like, and Washington's like run game or Oregon State's going to want to lean on their run game. Washington's rush defense is not real great. And so, if Oregon State gets a lead, they're going to want to sit on it. It is basically, that's Oregon State's game plan. That's how they, run teams out the building. This is not a good matchup for Oregon State, and I think this is a trap by Vegas. I think this is public money. I really think this is a trap. Like, and the Sharps are gonna feast on this one. I
just got suckered, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Maybe, but who knows?
I mean, I agree with you that Washington is like a one-dimensional team and a bit of a fraud. Oregon State is much more of a fraud. Like, their secondary blows and is not going to be able to cover Washington's receivers at all.
Wow.
I don't think that Oregon State's ever going to have the comfortable lead that they need in order to sit on, and because that's the only way they can win games. That's they only have one way to win, and Washington is always in games. That's the thing about the way that not just their passing offense works, but having an explosive passing offense means that you are never out of a game. They can be down the entire game and wham, 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 wham. They're they can just string together 3 touchdowns in 5 minutes. And, so Oregon State's strategy of just sitting on you, it just doesn't, it's not that they can't use it. It's just that it doesn't knock you out the way that it could to a team that would have a different approach than Washington does,
right.
To how they win games. I also think that I'm not a fan of DJU Uyunglele. I don't actually think that I still don't think that he's a good quarterback. I still don't think that this is a talented wide receiver core. They're quick, but they're not difficult, to cover. And Washington's secondary, I don't really think is going to have a difficult time with them. To the extent that Washington's secondary has had problems, it's been getting DPI flags. Mm-hmm. That's because of size mismatches, but they are not going to suffer a size mismatch against the Munchkin Brigade that is is Oregon State's receiver core, so I don't think they're going to run into that problem, and they're not going to get the DPI flags that get them into trouble. Yeah, I actually think this is a really pretty clean kill for Washington. Or maybe they're behind at halftime, but they wind up winning this one by double digits.
Yeah. God damn it. Well,
you never know. Aaron.
You never know. But it seems like he has a lot of facts on his end, and I'm just he just feels like Oregon's going to win.
Well, guess what, Aaron? At least if all the favorites win, then that means Ducks are guaranteed a Pac-12 championship or a Pac-12 championship game appearance. And
it would mean that they'd be. It would mean not only that, it would mean that they're guaranteed a Pac-12 championship rematch against Washington,
which is pretty cool.
Because Washington is basically a lock at this point.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. All right. And so here we have last week's score.
I'm catching up.
Leading 55 points. I've got 53 points. Aaron's got 42 points.
We all picked the same
Coming up from behind.
We all picked the same one, and we all got 4 out of 5, or whatever it was, 5 out of 6 correct. None of us were brave enough to pick ASU. I wish I was. God damn, I wish I was. So only
the thing that I said about that game, that UCLA's defensive line would shred ASU's offensive line, and so therefore it would be a low scoring game, was absolutely correct.
Absolutely.
It's just that ASU moved their offensive line to the sideline, so it didn't matter.
Why didn't you call that they were going to run the swinging gate 18 times?
I don't know why. That's my B, guys.
I love Dillingham too. Is that it's I've got 2-3 very good offensive players, and it's who made the few key scores in the big moments were those players.
We'll just have Conyers throw to Badger. There you
go. Yeah, it's there you go. It's amazing, absolutely. So that was the great Pick'em Challenge, which leaves us to one last segment, which is the super specific predictions for this week's Oregon ASU game. For me, I think there's going to be overall good nature between these teams, even though Oregon will be just absolutely destroying them. You may even see Kenny Dillingham making decisions to be you know what? Let's get some backups in there. Honestly, just I know they deserve to play too. I think this will be really lopsided really quickly for the Ducks, because I think they are going to be in killer mode still. To the point where, and what does Lanning like to do? A lot of times he likes to try to beat you the way that you are famous for beating teams. Or if you're going to do something tricky against him, he may try to do that same trick against you. Like when we had the run back throw to Bo Nix, which was blown up immediately afterwards, but still that was, kind of what they did to us earlier in that same game. So in that context, I think that Dan Lanning at some point, as a little joke, a little nod, towards Dillingham, is going to whip out the swinging gate at midfield. That's all I'm saying. At least one play. He's going to do it as kind of a I saw what you did last week. I thought that was hysterical. That's my very specific. If that happens, then he's listening to the show. But yeah.
I think I'll follow you, but divert the timeline to where it actually, my super specific thing is it's going to be Dan Lanning being more authoritative and being I know exactly how to beat you, and I'm going to exploit the living shit out of it constantly. I'll get, and then,
is that specific enough, though? You're just saying we're going to beat them really
because
badly.
what'll happen is at the end of the game, whenever they are going to shake hands, Dan Lanning actually backhand slaps him.
In the face?
Wow.
In the face.
Wow.
Okay, that's going to be a scandal, I think.
They're really close friends.
I know.
I think they'll probably hug instead of that.
Well,
we'll see.
that's my super specific
You called yours.
prediction.
You called
yeah.
I I actually think that Kenny Dillingham made one of the smartest defensive coordinator hires of the season in getting Brian Ward from Wazoo. I can't remember what specifically we were talking about, but I remember when we were reviewing the 2022 film that Brian Ward, when he was at Wazoo in 2022, was one of the few DCs who did, and I'm going to sound like an idiot, but there were only 2 DCs in the entire Pac-12 who figured out a particular thing and didn't fall in a certain trap. And I was like, Brian Ward, very interesting. Keep your eye on that guy. Oh, ASU hired him? Very interesting. Kenny Dillingham. And then his defense has actually been punching way above its weight class this year. So so Aaron, your prediction about like Oregon knows exactly how to shut him down, that'll be interesting. I mean, they're super blitz heavy, and so like it'll be interesting to see how Oregon like deals with that. So that'll be fun.
Interesting.
My super specific prediction is that Oregon has in each of the weeks since the bye, each of the weeks since the bye, has broken out one new tackle over play, meaning one of the offensive linemen goes to the other side of the line and joins his fellow tackle. And tackle over plays or taco, right? Tackle over taco. I code on my tally sheet as different kinds of Mexican cuisine. Yeah. And so I've been having to come up with new ones every week, and so that's my prediction is that they'll be in Tempe, and so I'll get to name a new one that I'll have to name after some regional cuisine of the Southwest.
Adam,
the fajita or something. What's that?
I would like to change mine, and I'd like to make a real one.
Okay, be real.
I predict that who was it that is on his way to breaking both records? Two records?
Troy Franklin?
I believe he's going to have both of those in this game.
That's a good one.
That's a good one, Aaron. That's a good one.
Very good one.
He's going to get both of them. That's my prediction.
And the slap. Okay, I get it.
And the slap.
All right, and when all that happens, you'll find us here on the Quack 12 podcast.
That's right.
But before you do that, go over to Addicted to Quack, read Hythloday's article, follow him on Twitter at Hythloday1, HYTHLODAY number 1. I may have missed the letter, I said so quick.
No, you got it.
At Quack 12 Podcast, where you can follow us. Y'all, we're so damn close to the end of the season and maybe the rematch of the Ducking Century.
Ooh.
So don't miss it. Bye.